Hey everyone, and welcome back. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Happy Friday, TGIF, or Saturday, depending on when you're watching this video. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing the $1,371. It's going to be payments worth up to that amount going out to a group of people on Social Security today. We're going to be going over who is going to be receiving those payments and why they're going out today. Also, we'll be going over some recent polling data on Social Security reform, in addition to listening to what Mike Pence just said about Social Security reform and what he would do if he became the next president. Now, before I dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Also, if you would like to receive up to 12 free stocks from my partner in Webull, I will go ahead and leave a link in a pinned comment below where you can receive just that. And if you don't want to invest at this point in time, once you receive those free stocks, what you can always do is just sell them for what they're worth. They should be valued at right around $50 or possibly more, and then transfer that money right back to your bank account. Okay, so according to The Hill, in a new poll released by Quinnipiac, almost 8 in 10 would oppose raising the full Social Security retirement age. So in the survey, 77% of Republican respondents said they would oppose raising the full retirement age for Social Security, while 81% of Democrat respondents and 75% of independent respondents also agree with the same sentiment. In contrast, 18% of Republican respondents, 17% of Democrat respondents, and 16% of independent respondents said they would support the government raising the Social Security retirement age, according to the poll. This poll, of course, comes as lawmakers debate on whether or not we should be raising the full retirement age from 67 up to 70. Now, this is a viewpoint held mostly by Republican lawmakers. You don't really see a lot of Democrats saying that, yes, we should be raising the retirement age up to 70. Their viewpoint is mostly that we should be lifting the cap on payroll taxes. So right now you only pay into the Social Security payroll tax on the first $160,200 that you earn. Their argument is people that earn above $250,000 or $400,000 should once again have to pay the 6.2 to 12.4% into the Social Security payroll tax. Now, Biden, whenever he came into office, one of his promises when coming into office was that he was not going to be raising taxes on anyone earning below $400,000 per year. So more than likely that would be his number if he were to get his way. Otherwise, you could say that he might be backing out on his promise. Now, in another bipartisan proposal, kind of going on behind the scenes, led by Bill Cassidy and Angus King, in their proposal, it looks like they might be raising the full retirement age up to 70, in addition to having a sovereign wealth fund where they're going to be investing around $1.5 trillion in funds. We're going to see how far that goes. Remember, even though it is a proposal, it is not a bill yet, and they would still need to get other lawmakers on board, so they would need at least 60 votes in the Senate, which would be pretty difficult to get. Now, as far as some of the other questions in the Quinnipiac poll that they asked, they also had some questions about retirement. So it says that nearly 7 in 10 Americans, 68%, say they are either very concerned, 33%, or somewhat concerned, 35%, that they will not have enough money to live comfortably during retirement, while roughly 3 in 10 Americans, 31%, say they are not so concerned, 16%, or not concerned at all, 15%. And some other questions they ask, how difficult would it be for you to pay an unexpected bill of $1,000 right away? Very difficult, somewhat difficult, not so difficult, or not difficult at all. And this one is really split, so 25% say that it would be very difficult to pay an unexpected bill of $1,000. 27% say that it would be somewhat difficult. And as far as those who are a little bit better off right now, we have 20% of people saying it would not be so difficult, and 27% say not difficult at all. And then they ask a question about groceries, if people have been cutting back on their grocery shopping. Out of the responses, 44% say yes, they have been cutting back on grocery shopping, and 56% say no, they have not been cutting back on grocery shopping. So this one is sort of split in half. Now, out of all these questions, I'm definitely interested in what your responses would be. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Now, in some other news, former Vice President Mike Pence was recently on CNN where he talked about Social Security reform and what he would do if he was going to be president. Now, keep in mind, he is a presidential candidate in 2024. He doesn't have the strongest polling numbers yet, but he does talk about Social Security reform and what he believes should be done. It's about a 1.5-minute clip. Let's take a listen, and then I'll come back and talk about it.
Well, Joe Biden's policy on Social Security and Medicare is insolvency. I mean, right now, President Biden, even though there's bipartisan support for it in the Senate, won't even sit down and talk about common sense and compassionate reforms of our entitlements. And I disagree with President Trump on this as well, and with the governor of Florida and anyone else that's taken that position.
So what changes would you make?
Well, let me get to that. But first off, your viewers deserve to know we have a national debt the size of our nation's economy for the first time since World War II. Left unreformed, these programs will drive that debt from $30 trillion to $150 trillion by the time my new granddaughters reach their 30th birthday. When you get to that point, if you wait to reform it by then, all the choices are bad. Massive increases in taxes or cuts in programs. I believe, to answer your question, that if we bring people together, we sit down, and we can talk about reforms to Social Security and Medicare for people under the age of 40. Say to people who are in retirement today, this has nothing to do with you, no changes. Anybody that's going to retire in the next 25 years, no changes whatsoever. But for younger Americans, most of whom don't believe they'll get anything from Social Security today, I think we can introduce common sense and compassionate reforms that have all been on the table for years. But I have to tell you, I'm talking about it out there because I think we have a moral obligation to your grandchildren and my grandchildren not to leave this, not mountain of debt, but mountain range of debt to them. And we can do it if we have the courage.
So first off, he's kind of breaking with his competitors in the presidential race in the Republican primary, and Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. He says that we should, in fact, be touching Social Security. Those two candidates have kind of pushed to the side, saying that we should not touch it at all. We shouldn't be raising the retirement age. We shouldn't be doing anything about it. Remember, Social Security is sort of the third rail in politics. It's something that you definitely should not say it should be touched. Additionally, instead, he says that we should have common sense and compassionate reform. And what he means by that is, yes, raising the full retirement age up to 70, something that would be very, very much deeply unpopular. He does say that for people who are retired now or people who are going to retire in the next 25 years, for them, the full retirement age in his viewpoint should not be raised. However, for anyone who is 40 or below the age of 40, they could have their full retirement age lifted up to 70. He says this group doesn't believe they're going to be getting Social Security anyways, so we need to have some sort of common sense and compassionate reform by saying, yes, you're going to get Social Security, but you have to wait all the way until 70 if you want to receive your full benefit. Now, regardless, it's pretty unlikely that Pence is going to be the next president anyways. If you look at polling within the Republican primaries, obviously the front runners are Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. He's very far down there, so he would be a long shot to become president. And if he did become president anyways, he could not jam this through via executive order. It would need to pass through the House, it would need to pass through the Senate, so it would need to have bipartisan support. So even though Pence thinks these things should happen, he would also need to get support from Democrats, something that would be pretty unlikely to happen. Now, like I mentioned earlier on in this video, currently there is a bipartisan proposal made up of both Republicans and Democrats, because obviously it's bipartisan. And in that proposal right now, it looks like they might be raising the full retirement age up to 70. So it is something that could possibly happen. But again, this is a proposal. It's not even a bill. And even when it becomes the form of a bill, they would still need to get support from both Republicans and Democrats, something that is not guaranteed to happen. And finally, if you receive supplemental security income SSI benefits, today you're going to be receiving your second payment in the month of March. On March 1st, you would have received your first payment. Today is going to be the second payment in the month of March. These are going to be up to around $1,370 if you file as a joint filer. If you're an individual, the max payment is going to be right around $900. So according to The Sun, a second March payment is arriving today for supplemental security income recipients. SSI payments of $914 are scheduled to go out today, March 31st, but beneficiaries will miss out on an additional payment in April. Since the 1st of April is on Saturday, the payment will be distributed earlier tomorrow. Whenever the first of the month falls on a weekend or a holiday, the check is sent on the closest business day instead. After March 31st, recipients will get their next payment on May 1st, as in March, there will be 2 payments sent out in June, on June 1st and June 30th. SSI beneficiaries are intended to help low-income people over the age of 65, blind or disabled adults, and blind or disabled children. Now, they mentioned here that payments will be $914. Of course, that is the max you can receive if you file your taxes as a single. For couples, the max amount this year is going to be $1,371, as I just mentioned. And so if we take a look at the payment schedule for this year, we can see that, again, there won't be any payments in April going out to SSI recipients. They're instead going to be receiving the next one on May 1st, so no payments are going to be going out in the entire month of April. And then in June, once again, you're going to be receiving 2 payments. You're going to be receiving on the first day of the month and also the last day of the month. This again, because anytime the first of a month, which is going to be July 1st, anytime that's going to be falling on a weekend or a holiday, you're going to be receiving that the business day prior. So that's why you're going to be receiving 2 payments in June as well and no payments in July. Again, these aren't going to be any type of bonus payments. The payment that you're going to be receiving today is simply your payment for April coming early, because tomorrow, April 1st, is going to be falling on a Saturday. So you're just going to be getting that payment a little bit earlier. But that's all the news that we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.